But we are live.
It sounds like Mad Max, remember from the Coca-Cola? Where he freezes up.
It's Technical Experimentation Day, June 5th,
Right, let's
2015.
do it.
Hopefully we're doing it. Hopefully we are live. I'm Ron Motter, host of Planeta.com, and preparing to go to this educational technology conference in lovely Flagstaff, Arizona, and talking to the two gentlemen from Native Innovation making it possible. So good morning, good afternoon, and happy World Environment Day to you.
Hello, Ron.
Hello, Ron. Nice. Thanks for having us here.
Can you introduce yourselves and tell us what's happening next week?
All right. Next week we are having.
I'm Ron Motter, host of
Yeah. So next week we are having our annual conference. This is our third year hosting it here in lovely Flagstaff, and Ron is going to be one of our presenters, and he'll be covering Hangouts along with how to use wikis in a classroom environment or any environment you might be in. So, but this year our focus is on Google Chromebooks, and all the participants that will be there will be receiving a Chromebook, and we'll be using that to interact with their sessions over the 2 days that they will be there. So hopefully by the time that they leave, they'll have a better understanding of how to integrate Chromebooks in their classroom or using web-based content for classroom instruction. So good to be here, Ron.
Hey, Jerome, great to see you here.
Hi, Ron.
Can
My name
you
is
introduce
Kylo
yourself?
Winters, and I'm the Education Technology Specialist with Native Innovation. Just been pretty busy the last 72 hours or so, just work binging, getting the website situated for the conference itself. As new materials and content come in, just updating everything on the website itself and pushing out more announcements on all of our social media. Glad to be here.
Hey, thank you both. We last chatted last September after I was praising to the hilt your wonderful language app. So I'm really excited about being part of this event. So can you paint a picture? How many people are attending? Who's attending? Are they embracing technology? Are they scared of technology? Where do we stand?
Run for the hills, Ron. No. I guess it depends on the group of people you'll get your taste when you come out here, and you'll see some are really enthused, some are like, yeah, could use technology, some are like, no way, get that away from me. They'll be running for the hills. Those are the people that'll be running for the hills, Ron.
How many people are we talking about?
Right now we have about 152 signed up, and still waiting a couple more schools to reply. So by the time it's done, we could have 160, 170.
So you have 150, you have 170 Chromebooks to hand out on Friday?
Yeah, you want to see it?
Show. Turn the camera. Good grief.
So I don't know if I can take a mobile here.
Well, folks, we'll see if this works. Carla, can you see this?
Yeah, I can. Those are bundles of Chromebooks to give out to all of our registered participants for next week.
And this is not a common site in the office?
Oh, it is a common site. We do have other technologies, hardware. We have servers, we have smart boards, different types. We receive orders for our clients, and they either pick it up here or we take them out.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll be seeing several stakeholders, administrators, school teachers, community parents, a lot of students throughout all levels, from elementary to college, as participants. At the same time, the reason why we're giving out Chromebooks is to get the technology in the stakeholders' hands, all of our participants, for them to use that tool effectively within whatever environment, working environment they are in, especially our school students.
No, that's just so practical and makes so much sense. It's nice to see the training done on the technology that's being delivered. Jerome, I'm not sure if we can hear you. Had a little bit of a sound issue before as well. Hmm. Well, again, that's an everyday site for you folks, but wow, to see, close to is that 200 computers? That's
Close to
amazing.
200, yes.
Yeah, very impressive. And my question again, we're doing some Hangouts and looking at Hangouts. Where do you think teachers are going to want to put a Hangout into the classroom? Do they want to stream live classroom to classroom, or my thinking, are they going to pay attention to some national or international events and see if they can at least touch base and connect with students that way?
Yeah, that's where all our resources come in, especially a lot of the content that you've been posting to Planeta and a lot of the Hangouts that you've been doing. It just shows an example of how to connect different areas around the world, especially. And we hope those stakeholders use these computers, which, by the way, are Chromebooks. Um, and we hope they can integrate that again into their classroom learning environments. And for us, the learning environment is not always in a contained classroom. It is mobile, as you know by our app, and it is at home also. So any learning environment, carrying your tool and using it effectively is our whole goal.
No, that's fantastic. Jerome, you might want to leave and come back. I'm not sure why we can't hear you. Um, oh, how I wish we could actually do the diagnosis and figure out what's happening. It's not the first, it's not the first glitch. And if anything, I think I've learned from this is, how to be patient and bring other people in patiently. Hello, hello.
Hi. Sorry I'm late. I'm
There's
Lavelda.
no late.
It's a small town in Flagstaff, but it still takes a while to get from one place to another here.
Lavelda, can you introduce yourself?
My name's Lavelda, and I work with Jerome and Kylo. I'm the education specialist for the company and the expert for them all. Kidding.
have you done a Hangout before?
Yes, I have. Sorry, I have done a Hangout before.
Like a brain freeze. Jerome, can we hear you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jerome.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sound is a bit off on your part, Ron.
There's a delay here.
Okay.
Well,
You need to get your clothes
again,
hanger
you
out so
folks
you
talk.
can adjust it.
Pay me anything else I should know about the event? What should other people know about this big immersive workshop?
Well, we shared with you the stakeholders who are attending the workshop our goals of placing a new tool, if not a tool they've used before, but not as effectively, meaning the Chromebooks, and providing them use, and like you said, Ron, in a practical way in any learning environment that they are in, whether it be in a traditional classroom or if they're mobile. And we shared with Ron Lavelda about 150 to 170 attendees will be at the conference.
Yes. And how many organizations, Jerome? 35 so far?
Yeah, 35.
35
35.
schools, and then also the different organizations the presenters will be coming in from. I think there's about 10 other organizations altogether.
Yeah.
Fantastic. One of the things, when we ask people to look at this Hangout, this is an example of how a Hangout works. Glitches, warts and all. Some glitches, but there's a conversation and people are able to interact. You can see if you're looking at the Google page, there's a place for a Q&A. In other words, that there can be, real-time interaction. Right now, we have, I believe, thank you, 1 viewer, 2 viewers we have. If you can program this, you can get more remote participation. Or you can do it privately, or you can do it just kind of quietly like this one. The advantage of the Hangout format is it's archived immediately on YouTube. So that if you're doing a workshop, if you're doing a training session and somebody can't watch it at that time, they can come back and watch it later. Or in the case of our Hangout, go ahead.
Or like a board meeting, right, Ron?
Good board meetings, are to the point and can be accessed. I work with a group called Tourism and Protected Areas Specialist Group, TAPAS, and I convinced them 2 years ago, the EXCO committee. I said, let's do our private, executive committee meetings using a Hangout. We're not live streaming it, but we will take live notes, and we're going to use the Google Docs specifically for note taking and a collaborative note taking. And I don't know, there are ways that we can speed up the process of sharing information. I don't want to go to a 2-hour boring meeting, but I'll go to an hour, nuanced point-by-point meeting if we can do some follow-up, if we can, keep an eye on something. Because, all of this work, it unfurls over time. And if it's not for us, I'm the expert at this, somebody else is going to be the beginner. And the question is how to welcome these people into that sort of conversation. And that, I think, is where we stand with the Google Hangouts as being, one good way of doing live video that can be engaging. The other thing I'd like to do at the event in Flagstaff is we'll be testing out the other application called Periscope. and maybe even do something through Ustream. There are different options you have. And there are times when you don't want to have a video camera going. Agreed. Most of the day is not recorded. But if you're making connection with other people, and if you're learning something, as a journalist, I just love having notes, that you can go back over and say, what did he say? Oh, I see. This is about this issue. And you can go back and you can look at how the story develops.
So how long have you been doing this, Ron?
Well, all my life. Did I tell you that my parents are educators? Dad worked in the high school and Mom worked as a third-grade teacher. So, when I was a kid, I just, my heroes were teachers. So I've been, playing at this education game for now 50 plus years. Online, again, it's the outgrowth of all the other stuff. I remember when I was a kid that the technology that we had that was wonderful was the ViewMaster. Remember the ViewMaster you'd put in front of your eyes? And you could take with you scenes from other places.
Is that the thing where you click it?
That's right. Click, click, click. Here's the Grand Canyon.
I think I had one, but my brothers threw it away from me. I had two older brothers, and so they tortured me.
Of course they did. Oh, what's the deal? On behalf of all men. But again, that was the that's a technology. So what do we use now? And again, it's these kids that have the cell phones, the smartphones, the apps, the this and the that. All right, how are we engaging them?
So this could be another avenue so for like people that miss school, record your classroom.
Going back 20 years ago, I mean, I liked the fact that my telecommunications professor, he audio recorded his lectures. And he's, this is not new. And again, that's why I very much jive with your mantra of, it's not the technology, it's the attitude. If you don't want to learn, fine. Go off and don't learn something somewhere else. But if there are ways that we can actually engage and do something, there are going to be glitches. This Hangout has problems. I've had terrible Hangout problems the past 2 weeks. Okay, fine. Either there's something better, or we'll figure out a fix to this Hangout. But it allows us a conversation. And, this is not applicable so much with people we're talking about for this workshop. But the people who watch the work that I do and the Planet, the viewers, often are international. They don't speak English as a first language. And, shout out to my South African friends who say, I don't speak English as a first language. Sorry about that. But, we have an opportunity to actually have this virtual face-to-face. Okay, what do we want to do with that? I think that's, phenomenal. We can connect, and we can watch, we can take notes, and we can ask questions.
That's what's great about it. So a lot of the schools, I mean, they have a lot of meetings and stuff like that, and not all the schools are within one geographic location. All these different schools, they spend so much money traveling 50 miles, 60 miles, 100 miles, so they can all have a meeting like this. Whereas if they do incorporate something like this could be cost effective, and I mean, you get to see everybody face to face and still have a meeting without having that physical presence. And it's recorded, and if you want to record it.
And you have that option. And again, it's World Environment Day. How many of our leaders are jetting across the planet to talk about environmental conservation? Absurd that on a day of very much the conservation ethos, that we're not really kind of enjoying the moment where we are, and then, yeah, come on into your office and connect through a Hangout. And we can look for those events, and we can create the events that we want to see.
That's right. So, when did you start celebrating World Environment Day, Ron?
You know, ever since I created Planeta 20 years ago, and it's planeta.com, or for our Canadian friends, planeta.com. 20 years ago it was created, and it was immediately obvious that it had this global impact, and it had a global viewership. So as part of that, it's like, well, wait a minute, the UN has this celebration, there's the launch of the international environmental movement, what created UNEP, what launched so many country environmental conservation programs back in the 70s. Well, what if we took this World Environment Day and really just played it up and shared photos, or in the case of my connections in Mexico, create a Mexico Ecotourism Award. So we've been doing this for 20 years. Now this is the first year I get to ask the question, how do you translate World Environment Day in Dine?
Kyla was translating it.
Probably be a literal translation of our land is beautiful, maybe. Our land is where we live, I would imagine.
Our land is where we live.
Take a look at that, and then the follow-up question is, how do you translate planetary limits? and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because in English we kind of pretend we understand what these things mean, and we do this kind of like we tick the boxes. Yes, we celebrated World Environment Day, but we never think about what it means. And when each year the topic, the focal point, changes, and this year it's all about living within planetary boundaries. And again, my question is, well, how do you, all right, I can understand that sort of in English, but how would you translate that in other languages? And if we can't, how do we expect a sort of buy-in and mainstreaming approach of environmental sciences if, it's not even talked about in our indigenous languages? And I say it, being provocative. When I lived in Oaxaca, I would ask, well, how do you say this in Zapotec, or Chinanteco, or Ayuk, or Mije? And it's not for the easy answer. It's for the conversation. And really, we have to get our leaders and our institutions kind of being much more open and accessible to this sort of multilingual approach.
Right.
It's not going to happen right now. Right now, I'm just being an antagonist for this. But at some point, the United Nations and World Environment Day folks will say, "Hey, this has to be translated in Dine. If we can have the movie Star Wars in your language, we have to have World Environment Day in your language."
Well, within our philosophy of learning, it's just trying to translate it literally, but really it's a concept. It's a concept of living within the environment is how I'm viewing all of this, and there are more experts out there who could explain that even better, rather than me trying to give it a shot. But
it turns out to be more of a relationship concept. Our relationship to the environment, our relationship to the space beyond what Earth is, and so it's more of a relationship. So you would end up explaining it in terms of our relationship to the environment, our relationship to what the planetary limits are, and it becomes more of a conversation about kinship and relationships more than anything. So it becomes
Lovely.
a little more intimate of a thought than anything, and so there's no actual literal translation.
Good. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I look forward to, again, stoking the fires and loving the idea that we get to discuss this next Friday and Saturday, and use this as a template, as an example. If you're a science teacher, if you are working in geography and you want to bring World Environment Day into your classroom, here's what you do. And we don't have to be the experts on environmental policy to again point the way and again to stir the fire and make sure that that conversation really is made with various stakeholders and people, including these students, including these educators. I mean, I know it's summer and the classes are out, but it would be great to see the classroom displays for World Environment Day.
How many people can Hangouts hold?
In a Hangout, you're going to have 10 people at one time appearing at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
And an unlimited amount of viewers. The other thing, you have to, the person who sets up the Hangout has the option. Do I allow people to ask questions? And there's an actual application, the Q&A app, that allows you to ask some questions.
Okay. Because I like this. I mean, there are so many conversations that could be had with teachers and their students. No, especially considering that the ideas are completely, the perception of even just the conversation of World Environment Day can completely change from one area of the reservation to the other area, to another area of the reservation. As I think, I know it's from one part of the reservation to another part. It's almost about, what, 600-700 miles difference? And in between there are so many communities, and all these conversations can be completely different from one point to another.
Yeah, over 110 communities in the area.
But in each community, there's always a different perspective on the same concept, and so everyone has their take of it. But ultimately, I mean, they all boil down to one main teaching, but everyone has their own take of it. It's kind of interesting.
It's very interesting, and that there are communities in which languages change. There are communities in which languages really don't change that much, but everyone has local variations. And the question is, when you want to make sense out of it, you have to make sense out of it locally. But at the same point, can we be aware of what's happening globally? For those who speak Spanish, the Parques Nacionales de Colombia, the Colombia National Park System, has a wonderful radio series and has educational materials. Today, Mexico Semarnat is releasing so many different, educational and inspirational posts.
What happened?
What are they doing? Thank you, Google Translate. Let's find out.
So, what other things do you think do you think that they would gain from your workshop, Ron?
Well, I think anyone who wants to take this workshop will see how this works. And again, we'll do the mechanical tour of showing the Hangouts in process, the preparation, the follow-up, the problems, the solutions, and if it makes sense to you as an on-camera or as a there's a science hangouts out there, and they're wonderful. They're great if you're interested in astronomy or you can recommend to each other and as viewers. So again, you have a gamut of options here, and we'll show you what those options are. I mean, there's no one size fits all. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. I'll show you what I do. I'll invite you to do some stuff with me, and I'll be happy to help tailor a strategy and an approach that works for the teachers, the students, and the administrators. What's allowed, what's technically what's feasible. We'll find out.
So, do you think as being prepared, we should have them download Google Hangouts on their Chromebooks?
Please, if it's not already there, that would be a good first step. Then we'll double check the plugins as well. That often causes some consternation.
Okay, that's a good point. All right. Let me see. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here's what the Chromebook looks like.
Beautiful. What a piece of work.
Yeah. So here's a symbol on.
And you have to think that the Chromecast. Can we Chromecast the Hangouts at the event?
That is a good question. Lavalda, what do you think?
I just introduced the Chrome, but I don't know how to use it.
Let me see.
Let's do it.
Here, Ron.
Perfect.
What would that look like when we do Chromecast the whole session? Like they're watching a movie. What would it look like at the conference to use that Chromecast?
Well, when you Chromecast, you're basically just putting it up onto a bigger screen.
So they're basically going to look like they're watching a movie.
It's going to be like they're watching a movie, and if not, also being in that very same movie.
I think we should.
Sounds like a plan, Ron.
So yeah, I think we're all good here.
I think so. This was a good fit.
For the recorded session, are there any other final comments you'd like to make before we end the webcast portion?
Ron, earlier you mentioned Periscope, which is brand new. It's about 6 weeks old, if not a little longer. Periscope is a mobile app allowing for live streaming from a mobile device itself, popular on iOS. And if I remember, I tweeted that it is now on Android about 10 days ago. It was just released. Just eliminating that geographical distance of accessing other parts of the world where we were sort of restricted to online desktop laptops and some of the technologies that were being used by museums across the world doing virtual field trips. Now with Periscope and its competitor Meerkat, also the Meerkat app is much like Periscope. Anyone can activate a live video stream. I want to schedule one of the Navajo Long Walk exhibit at the Navajo Nation Museum in Window Rock, Arizona, and other historical places found throughout our communities here on the Navajo Nation. I know with Periscope it is saved. The video live stream is saved for viewers to access later on, just much like how Hangouts is situated. With Meerkat, as far as I know, it is live streaming, but the video feed is not saved. They may have added that functionality, I'm not sure. But again, I like that you brought up that point of Periscope in the hands of a lot of our mobile users.
The one limitation of Periscope, however, is that it saves the video, but only for 24 hours, at which point it disappears. And there's no way to really kind of save it or embed it. But again, all of these things are in motion. They're changing. The rules this week may be different next week.
Right.
And we'll take a look at, again, I'm not, I don't have stock in Google Hangouts or YouTube, but we're going to try these out. And yeah, we're going to try out Periscope just because, honestly, the video quality is so much better than a Hangout. But it doesn't save it. So we'll take a look at the different options. And again, we're going to be pulling our viewers and the people who are paying attention to these Hangouts into this. And again, the ethical considerations need to come into play. Just as if I'm not going to sneak a microphone into a conversation with somebody. I think there has to be this free, prior, informed consent. And to say to folks, Ron's gonna do this Periscope session right now at the party, in the corridor, or whatever. If you don't want to be in this video, again, run for the mountains. We figure out, again, the ethics of this. What do you want to share? What don't you want to share? My Oaxaca market example. It's Friday market day. Oops, sleep went down. Friday market day, and the friends there at the market in Oaxaca, the Pachote, there are 50, 60 vendors, and about 6 of them don't want their photo taken. And fine, I'm not going to take your photo. I asked them once, the ladies, I asked them once if they could all get together and pose so I could not take a picture of them together. But that's just my sense of humor. If people don't want to be on video, fine. But if we can get people and we can really show people about this, I think this livens up any event, any workshop. And again, it shows we're doing, and it allows this kind of little snapshot of learning in progress.
Will you be able to show them how to Hangouts with their Facebook, or not Facebook, but their YouTube channel?
We'll be looking at video in different formats, and I'll be happy to discuss video on YouTube. Excuse me, video on Facebook. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of that, just because again, you're not able to really embed that video in other places that easily. Doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it any less useful for other people. The options we have are multifold. I mean, there's so many different options. But what I like about YouTube, again, is that it makes it very easy to grab that code, embed it onto another website or wiki or other platform. Facebook is its own animal, and we'll talk about it, and I'll do stuff with you with it. But those would be my immediate reservations about using that.
Cool. Well, thanks for having us on today, Ron. We'll look forward to you attending your session.
Thank you, folks. This is this makes next weekend all the more easy for everybody. I mean, I
will you be doing a session, a live session?
When you say, "Oh, I don't want to hear from that guy," then fine, go to somebody else's session. But if you want to come to my session, oh yeah, we're going to have fun, and we're going to use these technologies, and we're going to learn something.
I like that.
Great.
I like to be able to show them how to use the tools and what it will look like and what are some possible, just engage their own ideas and so on. That it's not necessarily about the technology, it's about what it could be used for. And I think that's one of the things that we really are best to emphasize when we do meetings, is that it's not about the technology, it's potentially what it could be used for. And these are to have conversations with people that we normally wouldn't be able to see because it would cost a flight ticket or it cost money to get to that person. And so, but thank you for that.
Oh, thank you all. Hello, anything else?
Oh, thank you for your time, Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week.
We can't wait to meet D-Ron Motter.
Oh, you
Las
folks
Vegas,
are
Nevada.
Las Vegas. Hey, we're going to end the webcast here. I want to thank our viewers. We'll update the Google event page, and I will see you folks. Stay there. Don't hang up just yet. But our webcast will wrap up right here. I am hoping. Thank you.
All right. Great. This is still live.
Like one of those moments where you keep smiling, waiting for everyone to take a picture.
Like back in the day, Ron, when you had to take a picture with the gunpowder or whatever it was.
Just keep smiling.
Keep smiling. We're still recording.